In this video, we're going to see 10th assignment, that is Windows Forms design. We're going to design a calculator using Windows Form. So, the thing we have done is just created a form class called Form1. So, we made it as a partial class because this class has not been implemented completely. So, this can be implemented further, right? So, in that case, we'll be using a keyword called partial. So, we have to include a namespace called Windows.forms. So, this is a namespace in which we can define design a forms. So we have to make our class custom defined class as a child class of this parent class called form. So this becomes form. So the first thing is the constructor of this class uh, calls initialize component. So this actually loads the basic design of a Windows form. So that's the thing. And first thing, and after that we have initialize some variables called first number and operation. So uh, we'll see them later. So first thing is here we have this is the design of the calculator. So first thing we have buttons. So we have functions for each button, so we'll check them out. So we'll double click on that button, so the code part of that function, the function part of that button will be open. So for that button, for that particular button we have code like if text box equals to 0. In that case default value of the text box is already set to 0, so it defaultly contains 0. Fine. So if that is 0, and if 0 is not set, in that case it will be null, right? So is to check for that condition. And so if that is the case, we'll be adding 1 to the text box. This is the property of text box 1 dot text equals to 1. So otherwise, so we have to uh, append 1 the data already present in the text. So if you are typing something called 11, so you get 1. And if you just don't use this if else, so the text box will be set to 1 again, so 11 will not become coming. So in that, to avoid that case, we'll be adding the same 1 to the all the data that is already present in the text box. Fine. So that's the thing. And the same is the case for all the buttons, the numbers from 1 to 0. And we'll check for this operation. So this is the button, right? So when you click this plus, so what the thing we have to do is we have to first empty the text box. So empty the text box in the sense like we have to set the text box to the default value, that is 0, and we have to set the operation symbol to plus. Uh, Fine. So the first number we have to extract from the text box using uh, we have to convert the default value that is present in the text box from string to double value that is stored in the first number. Fine. So that is the operation performed. Same is the case for all the operators, plus minus and star, multiplication and division operator as well. So once you check this, and the operation is set to division. So that's it. Now once you click the equal to button, so the second number has to be retrieved. Fine. So and the operation has to be checked. So we have some variable called result also to show the result obtained. So the operation entered was plus, then this condition will be executed. So using this if control statement, we have segmented the code based on the operator. Fine. So if plus is operator, then we'll be adding the first number and second number showing it in the result, and we have to display the same result in the text box, right? So the same text box property text will be updated to the result. So again, the first number has to be the result. So if the user presses, if the user wants to add anything else to the already present number, so this is the code for that. First number is again set to the result value. Fine. So this is how it will be done. And for the division case, if the second number is 0, then that is the condition check. The division cannot be performed, right? So that's the thing we have to show. And cannot divide by 0 in the text box. Otherwise we can directly divide. Now that's it. We have some buttons, battery called battery. We'll check that, check what is this function. So if you just click this C, then text box will be automatically set to 0. Fine. So this is nothing but the dot. So uh, once a user presses dot, the text box will be appended with a dot. Fine. So that's it. Now we'll check uh, the code for the output. So this is the output. Now we'll perform some calculations here. Once you plus, the text box is getting to 0. Now you press 3, and if the equal to is pressed, the direction is displayed in the text box. Same case with the other operations as well. 7 minus 6 1 plus 3 equal to 9. So this is how the calculator works. Now we'll go to the second question, that is to create an employee management system with the database connection. Now we'll go to that question. So this is the code. So same thing, we have defined the class called form1, make it made as a child class of the super class called form, and these are the namespaces we have defined. The first one is a system of data. This is for the data grid view. Makes use of something called data adapter, so through which the data is fetched. So that comes from this namespace called system of data. System of data SQL client is the namespace for the SQL connection and SQL command classes. So those classes come from this namespace. Fine. And after that, the main thing here is to uh, build a string called connection string, so, or the source string. This takes three items packed together. So the first one is the data source, that is the name of the server actually, and initial catalog happens to be the name of the database that I have created in the server. And after that, I have something called authentication, that is integrated security, that is true. Fine. And once the constructor is called, initialize component, the basic form, Windows form will be loaded, and we have some buttons called insert, delete an employee, update an employee, select employee. Select button just fetches the data from the database and shows the data into the grid view. Fine. That's it. Now we'll once check the form one design. This is the design actually. So we have the name here, register number, branch, and four buttons called insert, delete, update, and select. So once you click insert, double tap on this, will be opening the insert button functionality. So the first thing is we have to instantiate the SQL connection class with the connection string which we have defined just now. So once you say connection opened, so the connection to the database will be opened. Now we can write the query. So to write the query, we have a class called SQL command. So we have to instantiate that class, and we have to write the SQL. We have to pass two parameters. The first one is the SQL query. Insert into the table name. There is the SQ data, and these are the columns for the table name, register number, year, and branch. Second thing happens to be the connection string, which we have defined. So we have defined. We have not directly given the values. So since there can be null values and all those stuff, so we have defined parameters dot add with value. So this method takes two parameters. The first one happens to be the data that has been given the query, and the data that has to be passed to the query. So the data that has to be passed to the query happens to be the text box one, right? So the name for the text box one. Check here. This is the text box one, and text box 2 happens to be the register number, right? So converting that to an integer and storing it in the query, and here and branch. Now we have, since this query doesn't return any values, we have something called execute non-query command dot execute non-query. This will execute the query actually, and this is to once you actually insert the query into the database, so we have to dynamically fetch that data and store display it in the data grid view. So we make use of something called data SQL data adapter. We have to instantiate that one and write the query, select query in that with the SQL connection string. And sorry, SQL connection object, and we have something called data table. So data table is just like the data set which the discrete architecture uses in the client side to store the data. So we have to fetch the data from the database using SQL data adapter and fill it in the data table DTB1. So we have the source of this DGB1 that is set to data source is set to DTB1. So the data set is now stored into the data grid view. So this is nothing but the data grid view object. Now now the data will be shown in the data grid view. So now we are closing the connection, and we'll be showing a message box called successfully inserted. Now we'll check for the same next button, delete, same functionality, everything same, just which is we at the query by changing the insert function to delete. That's it. Now we'll check the same for the update, and since the query updates to data set, the name whatever the name that is given in the text boxes will be taken to the query. Now for the select, we have used something called using, and if the connection to the server is interrupted by any means, so in that case we don't have to close the connection manually. So using this syntax will automatically close the connection. So the same code to fetch the data from the database using the SQL data adapter we have overwritten here. So using this SQL data adapter class, we have parsed the query, select query, and the connection object, and we have filled the data table using the adapter, and set the data source of the data grid view using this data table. So now we'll run this code and check for the output. This is the form I have defined. Now this is the name, so yeah, register number, and the branch. And once you click insert, the data is shown in the data grid view. Now we'll try to update the value. It should delete the value. Now to delete the value, we just have to use the register number here, and the data has been deleted. Now select the values from the database. You just have to click this button, so the data is updated in the data grid view. Now since there is no data available in the data set, we have no rows in the data set available. So this is how it works, and I hope the output is correct, and thanks for watching.